Coming up, an Alabama man allegedly decapitates his girlfriend. I'll have the details in that case. A Florida jury calls for the death penalty after convicting a man of bludgeoning two boys with a hammer. A D.C. area bus driver is charged with DUI after 9 students were injured on a field trip. A Virginia mom allegedly gives her daughter a fatal dose of Benadryl, and the identity of the Lady of the Dunes will be revealed here. The Fierce Bite is reloaded, and it starts right now. Daylight savings time has come to an end, and it has been nothing but a rainy, dreary, blustery day here in Salem, Oregon. Tonight is Sunday. Yes, I said tonight. Sunday, November 6, 2022. I'm Ernest Bethea, the Last Outlaw, and I want to thank everyone for joining me for this edition of The Fierce Bite Reloaded. Your home for news, opinions, debates, your voice, and justice served. And before I get started, I want to get a little something off my chest here. And I'm going to try and be as blunt about it as I can. Just so you know who you're dealing with as far as getting this information goes. I'm not going to be what I like to call internet and social media nice. What do I mean by that? Let me give you a couple of phrases that's been used on social media. When I read off a news report, and for example, if someone ends up taking another person's life, or worse, taking their own, the word I will not use here is unalived. That person was killed. That person was killed. I'm going to bring it to you just like that. If there was guns involved, if there was a shooting involved, I'm not going to use the phrase pew pew. I'm telling you that there was guns involved. I will tell you there were guns involved. That's it. As I introduced myself just moments ago, my name is Ernest Bethea, the Last Outlaw. Emphasis on the words last outlaw. I don't wear a white hat. And as far as this internet thing, I won't be very nice. I will be as blunt, I will be as informational as possible, because I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not wearing kid gloves. This is what I'm doing for you guys. This is the home for unfiltered news, opinions, debates, your voice, and justice served. And the last time I checked this motto, I didn't see a filter on it. So there, I've said it. Anybody wishing for different from me, Be careful what you wish for. You may not get it, and you may not even like it. That's all I got to tell you on that. Let's get down to business. We start with this story out of Alabama. A man allegedly decapitates his girlfriend, stabbing her more than 100 times for refusing sex with him. 38-year-old Justin Fields, charged with murder and abuse of a corpse for stabbing and dismembering his girlfriend, according to authorities. A man from Blount County, Alabama, has admitted to stabbing and decapitating his girlfriend in their home after she refused to have sex with him, according to authorities who confirmed to station WBRC. WBRC reported that Justin Fields, age 38, was charged with murder and abuse of a corpse after body camera footage captured his confession to deputies for murdering 52-year-old Tammy Bailey. This is according to the Blount County Sheriff's Office. The victim lived with Fields in their home, but they had separate bedrooms. Blount County Sheriff Mark Moon said the couple went out last Friday, but got into an argument when they returned home later that evening, according to the local ABC affiliate. He had gone into his room and was playing guitar. His birthday was the day before he wanted to celebrate his birthday, quote unquote. Moon went on to say that he wanted to have sex with her. He went to her room and propositioned her, and she turned him down. According to a statement, that frustrated him. He said he stabbed her one time and then he blacked out. According to the outlet, police believe Bailey died on Friday night, but was attacked again after her death. On last Saturday, this is as of last Saturday, Sheriff Moon said on Saturday he went back there and felt like he was having a bad dream. For some reason, he stabbed her multiple times again. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a shot of Justin Fields. Get a good look. ABC 33 and ABC 40 reported that, according to police, Fields called his dad and said he had done something really bad, quote unquote, and that, quote, the evidence is inside. After Moon said deputies found Fields outside his home. Moon stated that Fields' dad then called the victim's sister, who was also their neighbor. But when Bailey's sister went over to check in, Fields wouldn't let her inside. The offender grabbed her and wouldn't let her in the house, Moon said. He told her that he had done something horrible and she didn't need to go in there. When deputies entered the home, they discovered Bailey's decapitated body with more than 100 stab wounds. They then arrested Fields and took him into custody. The two investigators and the crime scene tech, who was also one of my patrol lieutenants that responded to the scene, they probably had close to 100 years combined experience in law enforcement, and they said this is the worst thing they've ever seen, according to Sheriff Moon. He continued to say that those are images, mental images, that you will never, ever be able to erase when referring to the crime scene. Fields is currently being held in Blount County Jail with no bond, according to ABC 33 and ABC 40. He is set to make his first court appearance, or he has already made his first court appearance on November 2nd. That was according to local station WVTM Channel 13. The outlet also states that his case is set to go before a grand jury on January 23rd. Sheriff Moon told ABC 33 and 40 Fields had no criminal background, but it is unknown at this time if he has any underlying mental health issues. It is also unclear if Fields has an attorney who can speak on his behalf. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know. I really don't know what to tell you about this particular case, but stabbing someone 100 times. 100? Wow. What's going on, Juju Bones? Long time, long time. I got you here live too. Stick around. Things are getting crazy. I'm talking about the case of Justin Fields, who stabbed and decapitated his girlfriend, stabbing her 100 times just for refusing to have sex with her. I'm thinking like the sheriff in this case. I have this feeling that there might be some underlying mental health issues with this man. If that's the case, you're right. You are so right. That is excessive. If there is any underlying if there is any underlying mental health issues, Fields needs to get help and needs to get help ASAP. That's just a plain and simple truth. Right now, until he does get that help, the best place for him right now is behind bars, because who knows? Leaving him out on the street, and he could possibly do the same thing to somebody else, especially in that area of Alabama. All right, let's see what I got next on tap. Oh, this is one that really got to me as I was setting this up for this week. A jury recommends death for a Florida man who killed two boys with a hammer in violent, relentless rage. It took the jury less than an hour of deliberation to recommend the death penalty for Mark Wilson Jr. This is the article. And by the way, let me go ahead and give you a warning now. This story, I thought the last one was bad. This story contains a disturbing description of violence. You've been warned. It took less than an hour for a Florida jury to deliberate and recommend Mark Wilson Jr. to be sentenced to death for the brutal murder of two young brothers. A judge will make the final decision on whether to accept the jury's recommendation during a December hearing. Welcome to the Seventh Circuit, where making justice a reality is our sworn and solemn duty, State Attorney R.J. Lariza said in a statement following the sentencing hearing. Our heart goes out to the victim's family. It's in the judge's hands now. On August 19th, 2020, 12-year-old Robert Baker and 14-year-old Tayton Baker were found stabbed and bludgeoned to death in their Melrose, Florida home. The motive for the slayings was unclear at the time, but Putnam County Sheriff Gator DeLoach said Wilson had allegedly been on a methamphetamine binge prior to the killings. It is our understanding from some of our interviews with some of the individuals associated with the case that the suspect, Mark Wilson, was under the influence of methamphetamine and had been for several days. And we think that may be a contributing factor to this heinous, just rageful crime. Those were Sheriff DeLoach's words to People magazine in 2020. The crime scene was one of the worst he had ever seen. DeLoach told First Coast News that the boys were beaten with a hammer and then had their throats slashed with a fillet knife. Crime analysts testified at this during the sentencing hearing. The youngest brother, Robert, was found nearly decapitated, and Tayton had multiple slash wounds. His mother found him at the end of an 18-foot trail of blood, according to the testimony. Wilson, who was married to the boy's aunt, was living in a shed on the Baker's property when the murders happened, according to local station WJXT. Wilson's stepsister testified on his behalf and described a childhood filled with heavy drug use by their parents and domestic abuse. In a statement after Wilson's conviction, Louisa said, "The defendant murdered our child victims with a ferocity that shocked the conscience of us all." He added that there was no mercy, only a violent, relentless rage that left two young brothers dead within their own home. He should receive the same degree of mercy he showed Tayton and Robert. Now, we have an update on this case. We know that he was convicted earlier this month of brutally murdering two boys and slated to receive the death penalty after a jury unanimously recommended the punishment on last Friday, following a 5-day sentencing trial. Mark Wilson was found guilty of first-degree murder earlier this month for killing 14-year-old Tayton and 12-year-old Robert Baker in August 2020, according to ABC affiliate First Coast News. Wilson, who was living with his wife, who's also the boy's aunt, in a shed on the family's Melrose property at the time, beat the boys in the head with a hammer before slitting their throats. Their mother, Sarah Baker, was sleeping in the house during the murders, but a homicide detective testified that she would have been unable to hear them in the living room of her bedroom because of insulation. This is Mark Wilson, ladies and gentlemen. And this is the guy who murdered two boys with a hammer and then slicing them to death. The Putnam County Sheriff claimed the murder scene at the property was one of the worst he had ever seen. In a news conference after the killing, State Attorney A.J. Louisa said, "I can tell you, I've been working in the criminal justice system since 1980. And these are some of the most brutal murders I've ever heard of. He attacked those two kids without mercy." According to courtroom testimony from Assistant State Attorney Jennifer Dunton, it appeared as though Wilson had either tried to slit the older brother Tayton's throat multiple times or saw through his neck. Robert, the younger brother, reportedly had his throat slashed end to end, nearly decapitating him. Sarah Baker testified that during the trial before the murders, she had seen Wilson outside sharpening a knife that would later be matched to the murder weapon. She found the body of her oldest son at the end of an 18-foot trail of blood. Both of the boys were covered in blankets, at first hiding the extent of their injuries. This is Wilson being arrested, as you can see here. Wilson's mother, Chrissy Atkins, played a pivotal role in the investigation as a confidential informant who agreed to record the conversation with her son that would ultimately lead to his arrest. "I told Mark that he needed to cooperate," she said on the stand. "Take a lie detector test and clear his name." He got out of the bed and he said, "Mom, I can't do that." And I asked if he heard those babies, and in a voice that wasn't his own, he said, "Yes, Mom, I did it." Atkins claimed her son often spoke strangely, especially when he was using drugs. Both Wilson and his wife were drug users, according to witnesses and police records. In the recorded conversation that was played in the courtroom, Wilson explained that he killed the boys because he believed the family was going to report him and his wife to the Department of Children and Families. He also claimed that he and his wife had plotted to annihilate the entire family, according to a Putnam County Sheriff's Office arrest warrant. And in a different story, Wilson had claimed the boys had sexually abused his daughter. Whether that has any ring of truth to it, that that's a different story for a different time. If you suspect child abuse, you're asked to call Child Help National Abuse Hotline at 1-800-4-A-CHILD. That's 1-800-422-4453, or go to www.childhelp.org. All calls are toll-free and confidential, and the hotline is available 24/7 in more than 170 languages. Ladies and gentlemen, I can only imagine what that crime scene looked like. If you're trying to imagine that yourself as well, I'll say this. I know it's going to be hard for you to do, but if you have a weak stomach and you are following this story along with me, and you have a weak stomach, let me tell you right now that that story definitely was not the one for you. But remember this, we're all about seeking justice for the victims. And right now, with this man behind bars, that might, again, just like Justin Fields in the first case that I mentioned, the safest place for anyone at this point, the safest place for anyone is safest place for anyone is for this man behind bars. Period. And next up on the blotter, a DC area school bus driver is charged with DUI after veering off the road on a field trip, injuring 9 students. Troy Reynolds of Maryland was allegedly found to have a blood alcohol content of more than twice Virginia's legal limit. Here's the breakdown for that. A bus driver in Washington, D.C. has been arrested for allegedly driving while intoxicated after a traffic incident that left 9 children with minor injuries. Troy Reynolds, age 48, of Maryland, was driving back to Murch Elementary School from a field trip to Cox Farms in Centerville, Virginia, with a bus full of 44 children and 4 adults, when he veered off the road into a ditch. This is from a news release from the Fairfax County Police Department. The bus then struck a rock, causing the rear tire to flatten and the rim to bend. Reynolds continued to drive until the adults on the bus urged him to stop in a parking lot with another bus from the same school, police said. Here's Reynolds, and here's the, one of the wheels from that bus after the incident. It's never good to drink and drive. I told you this. Officers from the Sully District Station and Fairfax County Fire and Rescue responded to the scene, where 9 children were treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Reynolds failed a field sobriety test and was taken to the Fairfax County Adult Detention Center, where he was found to allegedly have a blood alcohol content of 0.20, which is more than twice Virginia's legal limit of 0.08. He was held with no bond and charged last Thursday with a second-degree DWI with a child aged 5 to 10, commercial DWI with child endangerment, and 9 counts of gross, wanton, and reckless care for a child. That's according to authorities. Reynolds' license was allegedly found to be revoked in Virginia from a prior DWI and suspended in Maryland, in addition to being allegedly found with a fraudulent medical card. According to the Fairfax County Police Department's Motor Carrier Safety Unit also responded to the scene and found that neither of the drivers was properly licensed to operate a school bus. MCS also documented a total of 18 safety violations on the 2 buses. And a third bus that responded to replace the damaged bus was also taken out of service for safety violations. DC Public Schools Chancellor Louis Farabee shared a statement Thursday on Twitter saying, "We thank the Murch Elementary teachers and staff who ensured the students' safety on their field trip today. All children who were evaluated by emergency medical services following the incident, and there are no injuries reported. We appreciate the support of Fairfax County law enforcement who welcomed students at a nearby training facility as they awaited transportation back to the school. DCPS takes this incident very seriously, and our teams will do a thorough review of our transportation vendors to ensure that student safety is always prioritized. We are incredibly thankful that no one sustained injuries during this frightening incident." Ladies and gentlemen, I thank God, as I read that story, I'm thanking God that there was no serious injuries. Because somebody driving a school bus with a blood alcohol level of, I'm using the word allegedly driving a school bus with a blood alcohol level of 0.20. Let me do a little research. I know Virginia's is 0.08. Let's see, what is the legal BAC limit in BC? 0.08. Okay. What about Maryland? .08. Okay. So, as the kids would say, if you're in the DMV area and you're driving with alcohol in your system, you best not go over 0.08. That's the legal limit in the DC, in the District of Columbia, in Maryland, and Virginia. So in the case of this bus driver, he is at 0.20, which is twice the legal limit in all 3 of these areas. This man should never be allowed to drive again, because not only was he drunk and driving, he put 48 people in danger. Yes, I said it. He put 48 people in danger, including 44 children. 9 of them had to be checked out of the hospital. Come on. I mean, common sense rules out here. Troy Reynolds should never be allowed to drive anything ever again in his life. This is probably the same reason why I'm not on the road in Oregon, because I know that there's some knuckleheads on the road right now, and you never know who's behind the wheel, whether they're drunk, driving or not. And just for my own peace of mind, let me do one last piece of research, hometown style. What is the legal BAC limit in Oregon? Well, what do you know? What do you know? 0.08. Friends, if you're gonna drink, don't drive. Period. It's the smart thing not to do. Get a cab. Do whatever you gotta do. Just don't you get behind the wheel yourself. Next up. Oh, this next story. This next story fits my I'm calling you out file. A Virginia mom, and like I said, the advertisements, and I'm saying it here, I use the term very, very loosely. Virginia mom allegedly gave her 2-year-old daughter a fatal dose of Benadryl after a custody dispute. Yes, you heard me correctly. Reports say the 2-year-old Lanoy Andrade died of acute diphenhydramine toxicity. And for those of you who don't know, diphenhydramine is commonly known as Benadryl. I'm going to give you a few minutes to take a look at this cute little face before I go on with this article. 2 years old. Authorities have charged a Virginia mother with murder in connection with the death of her 2-year-old daughter, who was found unresponsive in a motel, according to police. Citing the medical examiner's office, local station WTVR-TV reports Lanoy Andrade died of acute diphenhydramine toxicity, what diphenhydramine commonly known as Benadryl. According to a news release, police in Virginia Beach, Virginia, responded to the Cuddy Sark Motel on August 1st, where they discovered a 38-year-old Leandra Andrade suffering from a medical emergency. Her daughter, Lanoy, also in the motel room, was pronounced dead on the scene. Andrade was transferred to a local hospital for treatment. Upon her release, she was charged with abuse and neglect of a child in relation to her toddler's death, which authorities deemed suspicious at the time, according to the Virginian Pilot. Prior to the incident, citing court records, the outlet reports that Andrade fled the Washington, D.C. area with Lanois after Lanois' father, Fabio Andrade Jr., was awarded full legal custody, although both parents were granted joint physical custody. Following the autopsy results and the announcement of the murder charge, Fabio called his daughter the love of my life, in a statement obtained by WTVR. While today's charges will never bring back my daughter, I am thankful to the Office of the Commonwealth's Attorney for seeking justice in her senseless murder. I look forward to seeing justice served for Lanois and continue to ask for privacy so that I may mourn my beloved angel, according to the statement. Andrade retained attorney James Broccoletti, who did not immediately respond to People magazine's request for comment. It was unclear if she entered a plea to the charges, and jail records indicate Andrade was denied bond. Two years old, and a child is dead from diphenhydramine, toxicity. Why? Because the child's father got full physical custody of the child. It sounded to me like that ends up being a case of, if I can't have her, then no one else can. And to me, that's not the action of a mother. Everybody who knows me knows, after reading a story like that, I tend to go out and start calling people out for what they are based on their behavior, based on what they're charged with. In this case, Leandra Andrade. You're not a mother. You're a monster. A mother would have done everything in her power to make the arrangement work. Before I keep going, let me pull this picture back up. Let me pull this picture back up. Here she is. Share this with you on screen one more time. Now tell me, who in their right, ever-loving mind would want to hurt something that adorable? Two years old. What could she possibly have done to deserve that kind of a fate? killed her with an overdose of Benadryl? Because the child's wait. Let me look at this one more time real quick. Then I'll put a picture right back up. Prior to the incident, citing court records, the Virginian pilot reports that Andrade fled the Washington, D.C. area with Lanois after Lanois' father, Fabio Andrade Jr., was awarded full legal custody, although both parents were granted joint physical custody. That's only legalese saying that the father had every right to say what's going on with the child. And he's only going to do what was best for her. And that didn't sit well with the monster. That didn't sit well with the monster, Leandra Andrade. Yes, I will say this until I'm blue in the face. You are a monster. I call you a monster for killing your 2-year-old daughter. And I will not stop calling you a monster. I did a story last week where a man in California drowned his 2-year-old daughter. And I called him a monster too. I guess I'm a monster hunter. I'm gonna go figure that one. Why? Because I get stories just like this, and by the time I'm through with them, I'm calling monsters out. Ain't nowhere to run, ain't nowhere to hide. Monsters like you deserve my favorite kind of sentence. You, Leandra Andrade, need to be buried 6 feet under the prison. Personally, I say forget a trial. I say just go ahead, dig a hole 6 feet deep underneath the prison, bury you right there. Because that, ladies and gentlemen, is where monsters belong. A mother, regardless of what the relationship was with her ex-husband, a mother would have done everything in her power to make sure arrangements with her ex-husband and the child worked out for the benefit of everyone. A mother in her right mind would have made sure she did her job correctly, which is protecting her daughter, not hurting her. Leandra Andrade, you're behind bars right now. Good. That's where you belong. That's where you should stay all the way through your trial. And you talk about an immature mentality. What you did was the ultimate sign of immaturity. Why? It's simple. You had the mentality of, if I can't have her, nobody can. And that is pathetic, even for you. And you will get exactly what you have coming to you. Life, imprisonment, or worse. Life, imprisonment, or worse. If Virginia has the death penalty, I hope you get it. I hope deep down in my heart that you get the death penalty. I'm sorry. I'm a little biased because I can't I can't I can't stand to see or read any stories like this without having an emotional reaction to it. But here I am, Sunday, November 6th, 2022, and here I am reading this particular story. May God rest the young soul of Lanoy Andrade. You talk about mercy. Let's talk mercy. I started this edition of the Thea's Bite Reloaded with the story of a man who showed absolutely no mercy, no remorse in killing a woman who refused to have sex with him, and then proceeding to stab her more than 100 times. I go to another story where a man takes a hammer, bludgeons two brothers to death, and then tries slicing them open from end to end, nearly decapitating them both with no mercy. And now I come to this, a monster. Again, she's not a mother to me. She's a monster. Giving her daughter a fatal dose of Benadryl, diphenhydramine. Why would she do this? She didn't want to work things out with her ex-husband. They didn't want to get parent. They didn't want to she didn't want to co-parent, especially at the moment when the judge gives the father full legal custody of the child, even though they have joint physical custody. I tell you, sometimes I truly, truly don't know what is going on in this world. But I stand by what I said. She belongs right where she is now, behind bars. But in all actuality, She should be buried 6 feet under the prison. And that's all I got to say about that one. I've got one last story to go. Okay. The mysterious murder victim known as the Lady of the Dunes has been identified after nearly 50 years. Let's get a look at this young lady. I can't tell you how far back this goes, but I'll admit, just from this picture alone, she was a beautiful woman. Nearly 50 years after her body was found on the shores of Provincetown, Massachusetts, the Lady of the Dunes murder victim has been identified. In a press conference on last Monday, FBI Boston Special Agent in Charge, Joseph Bonavolonata, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, announced the name of the murder victim, Ruth Marie Terry of Tennessee. At the time of her death, she was 37 years of age, according to Agent B. I'm just going to call him Agent B because, like I said, trying to pronounce his name correctly is going to be a real challenge here. Terry was found dead in the dunes about a mile east of the Race Point Ranger Station inside the Cape Cod National Seashore in Provincetown, Massachusetts on July 26, 1974, according to the FBI. When found, her body was missing hands. The authorities hypothesized this was done so fingerprints couldn't be used to identify the body. And her head was nearly severed from her body, Agent B revealed on Monday. The FBI said the cause of death was determined to be a blow to the head that happened several weeks prior to her body being discovered. The Lady of the Dunes was identified using investigative genealogy. According to the FBI, this is a unique method that can generate new leads for unsolved homicides, as well as help identify unknown victims. In the 48 years since her body was discovered, many investigative and scientific techniques have either improved or been created through new advances in technology, according to the FBI agent. One of these methods is investigative genealogy and combines the use of DNA analysis with traditional genealogy research and historical records to generate investigative leads for unsolved crimes. Just last week, the FBI received positive confirmation of Ruth's identity through the genealogical examination of this infamous cold case. The FBI shared some of the information they've learned about Terry. She was born in Tennessee in 1936. She has a daughter, sister, aunt. No, excuse me. Let me read that all over again. She was a daughter, sister, aunt, wife, and mother. The agents said they also found that Terry had ties to California, Massachusetts, and Michigan. Now that the authorities have identified the body of the Lady in the Dunes, they will focus on solving her murder. Investigators and analysts will turn their attention to conducting logical investigative steps that include learning more about her, as well as working to identify who was responsible for her murder. The FBI is asking the public to review Ruth's Seeking Information poster, and if anyone has any information concerning the case, please contact the Massachusetts State Police or the FBI. I couldn't have ended that better. I couldn't have ended that any better than that. First off, I want to congratulate the FBI Boston for identifying Ruth Marie Terry as the Lady in the Dunes. Now, now it's time for the hard part. It's time to get justice for Ruth Marie Terry. Again, for all those in California, in Massachusetts, and in Michigan, if you have any information at all that'll bring justice to the family of Ruth Marie Terry, please do not hesitate to get in contact with the FBI or the Massachusetts State Police. This is vital. This has been 48 years in the making. I am going to see if I can find any missing persons cases. And for that, I'm gonna dip in the cold, and I am going to call upon my good friend Arctic Fox True Crime. Because like I said before, if there's anybody who knows about who can help to bring the missing home, he's got it. So let's start here with Chantel McCrae.
On October the 18th in the Fernwood area of Pike County. She was last seen wearing light blue jeans and a gray sweatshirt. She left driving a gray 20. What is going on, YouTube? This is Arctic Fox. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at the missing persons case of Chantel McCrae, who is missing out of Fernwood, Mississippi. Chantel was last seen on October the 18th in the Fernwood area of Pike County. She was last seen wearing light blue jeans and a gray sweatshirt. She left driving a gray 2019 Nissan Sentra with a Mississippi license plate of AMB 3032. Her vehicle was located in Hinds County near the Wendell exit on Sunday with all of her personal belongings inside. Chantel has short hair that may be wrapped in a cloth. She has brown eyes and is approximately 5'7" tall and weighs 130 pounds. Anyone that has information on Chantel or her whereabouts is asked to contact Central Dispatch at 601 783 2323 or Pike County Crime Stoppers at 601 869 7141. Guys, we need to get Chantel's face out all over social media. She has been missing since the 18th of October. So we're talking about over 2 weeks that she's been missing at this point. And unfortunately, her case is not getting a lot of media coverage. We need to get her face out there, guys. Do me a favor, give this video a like. It does help more people to see Chantel's face. And the more people that see her, the better the chances are that we can bring her home safe. Also, if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, consider clicking that subscribe button. It really helps the channel out. And if you ring that notification bell, you'll always be alerted when I post another missing persons video. But the most important thing I'm asking you to do above anything else right now is to simply click that share button. Share this to your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, wherever you have social media, guys. It only takes a second of your time to do, and it can make all the difference in the world in whether we're able to bring Chantel home safe or not. As always, guys, I do want to thank you so much for tuning in and watching. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Y'all be kind to one another out there, and let's bring Chantel home safe.
Amen. I want to thank Arctic Fox True Crime for that one. And I got one more, and I'm gonna go ahead and call this a wrap.
What is going on, YouTube? This is Arctic Fox. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at the missing persons case of 29-year-old Felicia Worthing, who is missing out of Eugene, Oregon. Felicia was last seen at the Eugene Mission at the end of Blair Street in Eugene on the 29th of October 2022. She does not have her phone with her, and it is believed that Felicia may be in the middle of a bipolar episode, or that she may have been taken against her will. Anyone that has information on Felicia or her whereabouts is asked to contact the Eugene Police Department at 541-682-5111 or Cahoots at 541-393-7754. Or you can also get in contact with her mother at 971-312-3216. Guys, this young lady has been missing since the 29th of October, so it's been almost a week at this point. We do need to get her face out on social media. Unfortunately, there is no silver alert or anything out for Felicia at this time, so we are going to have to be her alert. We are going to have to be the ones to find her and bring her home safe. What I need you guys to do is to give the video a like. It does help more people to see Felicia's face, and the more people that see her, the better the chances are that we can bring her home safe. Also, if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, consider clicking that subscribe button. It does help the channel out, and if you ring that notification bell, you'll always be alerted when I post another missing persons video. But the most important thing I'm asking you to do above anything else right now is to simply click that share button. Share this to your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, wherever you have social media, guys. It only takes 1 second of your time to do, and it can make all the difference in the world in whether we're able to bring Felicia home safe or not. As always, guys, I do want to thank you so much for tuning in and watching. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Y'all be kind to one another out there, and let's bring Felicia home safe.
All right. Thanks to Arctic Fox True Crime for those two missing persons cases. Let's keep an eye out. If you see something, say something. We want to bring Chantel McCrae and Felicia Worthing, home, and we want to bring them home safe. If you see anything, if you have any idea, if you have any information on their whereabouts, get in contact with your local authorities. Like Fox said for Felicia Worthing's case, there's no alerts out for her. Therefore, we're gonna have to be her alerts. And that's gonna do it for me. First off, I want to thank everyone for spending a little over an hour with me as I give you true crime stories. Whether if it touched you as it touched me, you'll know what to do at the end of this video. Keep following me on social media. Come back here. Come next week. We can do this all over again. Same time, same place. Until then, again, thank you. All my followers on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all of you. I love you to death. Please, you're the ones to make the Thea's Bite reloaded and keep it running. Until next time, bite this. Hey guys, this is The Last Outlaw. I want to take this time to say thank you for watching and subscribing to Thea's Bite Reloaded. I have said many times over, It is you that is the reason Bethea's Bite stays reloaded and running. I couldn't do this without you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Be sure to follow Bethea's Bite Reloaded all over social media, including Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, the message board at Bethea'sBite.com, email at kingofhearts316_09 at outlook.com. I will also have teasers for upcoming videos posted to YouTube as well as TikTok at kingofhearts316 2021. This is the home for news, opinions, debates, your voice, and justice served. This is Bethea's Bite, and it's reloaded. This is Bethea's Bite, and it's reloaded.